What's up, everyone? It is Flipman Dan with another episode of Uncommon Profit. Today, we have Alexander Toledo on the show of I Publish Ghostwriters. It's great to have you on today, Alexander.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So let us begin with how you got into the publishing game.
All right. About 3 years ago, I started to travel. I'm a registered nurse, and I started to travel throughout the country because I live in Florida, and the Florida pay rate for nurses is very low. I have kids, so I decided I needed to make money, and I was going to start my master's program in nursing. And I said, I can't work 7 days a week and do my master's and pay the bills. So I started to travel so I could work less hours and be able to go to school full time. The problem was that I was away from my kids here in Florida, and I would have to fly back every single month because I get them once per weekend. I would have to fly back every single month to keep my word with my kids and see them. So I said to myself, I have to also figure out, I'm making good money now. I started to make over 6 figures in nursing, just working regular hours. But I said, I need to make more money to pay for my flights every month and just not to have to travel anymore as well. So I started to purchase courses online on how to make money online. And I purchased a couple of them during this time. And I came across a course on how to publish on Amazon and sell books. And I started to do that, and I grew the business to the point where I started to make more money than actually I made as a registered nurse. And I stopped working last year as a nurse because I was just making enough money to live off of my publishing business as I continue to pursue my education. So I'm currently midway through my doctorate program, and I'm doing that and my side hustle, which has become my main hustle.
So that's an amazing story, man. With the side hustle of publishing, a lot of people don't necessarily understand what goes into that. And especially with digital publishing through Amazon, can you walk the people through what that entails?
Absolutely. So self-publishing is a very stealth operation that most people don't know about, but it's a very big game. Basically, what I do, or my channel, which is I publish ghostwriters.com. Basically, what I do is I hire a ghostwriter. So I've learned to understand what the algorithm in Amazon is, what people are searching for, right? So I know in nonfiction, I know people want to lose weight as a big issue. So I publish books in different diets. As an example, I will hire a ghostwriter to write a book for me, let's say in keto diet, let's say in plant-based diet, Mediterranean diet, paleo diet. These are all topics that get searched every single day on Amazon. So I've learned how to learn what people are buying. I outsource every part of it. That's including having the book written, having the covers designed. And then I upload these books on multiple platforms, the number one platform being Amazon. And then I convert these books into audio form as well. So I'm able to squeeze out of one book multiple revenue sources. And I have a digital asset that is selling for me 24/7. That's basically it in a nutshell.
Wow. So you outsource everything. And I know there's some resources out there like Fiverr and places where you can get things designed cheaply. What are some of the go-to places that you turn to get either your book published or your book designed?
Okay. So for the book writing, there's a lot of ghostwriting companies. You just have to type in Google ghostwriting companies, and you're going to see there's a ton of them. You can go onto platforms like Upwork to find specific writers, or guru.com. So you could find freelancers yourself. That's the cheapest way. And then for cover design, I use Fiverr. I use $12 gigs for my cover that make for me, surprisingly, and this shouldn't be so much of a surprise, but people buy nonfiction books based on the cover design. They don't buy it based on reading the actual book. So a $12 cover could potentially make you thousands and thousands of dollars. If you look on my YouTube channel, you will see, because I give a lot of proof on there, you will see some books have made for me $70,000, $80,000, a single book that might have cost me about $300 to make. That's how powerful covers are and this process that I do.
That is mind blowing. So do you have, you mentioned kind of going and approaching the books that you publish from a plan of seeking the demand first.
Yeah.
Is the demand of weight loss and diets something that either you're passionate about beforehand, or because you're in the nursing profession, is that something that you just sought out just strictly through demand searches and that sort of thing, and you saw this is where people are reading and this is where I'm going to go?
Good question. So ironically, it's the opposite. Your passion doesn't necessarily translates to profit. So what I teach is you have to produce, you have to provide to the marketplace what the marketplace wants. So I go on demand. And I mean, there's just hundreds of keywords and topics that people are searching for on a daily basis. I just used diet as a very simple one because everyone watching this can relate to this. And specifically during January, February, these are very good topics that people are setting goals. They're buying a ton of these books. So these are books that I have written and I produce during this time of the year, which are very profitable to produce. So to answer your question, and I teach this on the channel, you have to publish books that people want. Forget about your passion. If you're doing this for a profit, I'm a publisher, you have to produce books that people want.
That is pretty incredible. I'm actually coming from a point where I'm writing a book about my music festival experience, and that's something I'm passionate about. But what you're telling me is that when it comes to Amazon, that might not necessarily sell just because I'm passionate about it.
That's not entirely what I'm saying. In your case, or in a case where somebody's developing a book because they have a business built around it, that's a different story. Because a book serves also as a lead for people to enter your world, right? It could be it could build around your business, your niche. What I'm talking about is being a publisher. So you're just publishing books to sell, to make a profit. Your business is selling books. So if you have a passion and you're turning that passion into a business, then you could add your book as part of your business or your business model. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to make six figures or you're going to live off that book. It's just another resource to draw people into your world. I don't know if that makes sense the way I'm explaining it.
No, it does. And so with the publishing of books, are you bringing on other, you said you're going out there and getting these ghost written and everything and putting them out there. Are you putting it out there that you can help other people publish their books? Is that a route that you're taking this?
I'm not helping people publish their own books. I'm helping people start the same business, teach them exactly what I did in order for them to create passive income just like I have.
Great. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So when you publish or when you get this one book written, you said that there's other revenue streams that are possible with this. Can you just go a little bit more in depth as to the different ways in which one book can make income?
Sure. So Amazon captures about 80% of the retail space for books, for ebooks and in this country. But they also own audible.com. So Amazon gets about 4.5 billion hits per month on their website, and audible.com gets about 24 to 26 million hits per month on their website. Audible audiobooks are much more profitable than regular books. So once you upload your book onto Amazon, you can go onto their Audible platform, which is called ACX, and you could have your book produced for you. You could either pay somebody to do this and you own the rights forever, or you could partner up with a producer and you don't have to pay them anything, but you're going to split the difference of the profits. So that's a second source. You can also upload your book onto this platform, and you could have people throughout the world bid on your book in order to translate your book into multiple languages. So I have books that are translated into Portuguese, Italian, French, Spanish, you name it. And you also share in the royalties with them for them translating your book into these languages. So Besides that, you have multiple platforms. So another popular platform where I upload the books besides Amazon is a platform called Ingram Spark. And Ingram Sparks puts your books onto platforms throughout the world internationally, through Barnes and Nobles, Walmart, just a host of stores. So my books literally sell on all of these different platforms, just not only Amazon.
Okay. So there's a ton of different platforms where you can put these books. Now, when you publish a book, is it kind of a peak and a valley of profit? Or is it something where you publish it, you get an initial boost in income and it kind of tails off? Or is it something that is there a long tail where people are consistently purchasing this throughout time?
Awesome question. The way, I've been doing this for 4 years now, right? So I've seen this business model evolve. And what I teach is the model that I've perfected. And the model that I perfected is very simple for you to understand. My plan is a long-term plan. And my plan is not for people to come into the space and say, I want to do this and I want to leave my job right away. The way I teach, my philosophy is you build a portfolio of digital books, and they're going to sell in the long term. And the reason they're going to sell in the long term is because once you upload your book and we upload that ebook and we upload that PDF, which becomes a print on demand book, I run ads on Amazon. And that's always going to ensure that I have sales for years because I have ads, I have traffic, right? In order for sales to be conducted, there has to be buyers. You have to be presenting the book to somebody. And because you have over 4 billion people showing up on Amazon every month and you have ads, you're always going to have sales, providing that you're having books written on evergreen topics that I'm talking about, and providing that you have nice covers. So it's not a thing where you publish a book and you're going to have this immediate amount of money and then you're just not going to make any more money. My plan is I publish books, and if I invested $300 in a book, I want to see that return on an investment be 1,000, 3,000, 5,000, 9,000. I mean, I've had books that have maybe 70, 80, $90,000 in the long term. So my game plan is the long term. It's not a scheme where you're just publishing and you're making money, or there's no cyclical thing. It's just a long-term steady sales, getting your money back and a return on your investment.
That's really exciting that you can make this and then get eyeballs on it strictly through ads on the platform. So people normally, myself included, forget or just don't put enough resources into the ad and the marketing portion of this. What would you say is the breakdown of budget when it comes to creating a book, and from the pre-production to the production to afterwards your ad budget?
All right. The ad budget is not really significant in terms, because so far in the many years that Amazon's what they call the AMS platform, which is their advertising platform, it's not like Facebook. If I've done ads on Facebook, Facebook will spend your money immediately. Google ads will spend your money immediately. Amazon ads has not reached, as of yet, the point where it just burns through your money. So it's very hard to scale your platform, your budget, because they only spend so much at a time. So unfortunately, I wish they could, but unfortunately, the budget for advertising is not really big. It serves its purpose, it's profitable, but it's not to a point where you could scale it like you would in Facebook. So your production costs are just getting your book written, which could be anywhere, depending on the word count, could be in the $300 range up to $600, depending how long you want your book to be. I just said the covers are $12, $15. And then your audio production could be free because you could split the cost with a producer, or you could pay for a $300 book. The production cost for that would be about $80. So it's not really hard to get your money back, considering that, these books are going to sell. The print versions is what I'm talking about, making money, about $14 per print books. and the audiobooks are going to be between $7 and up to $20. So you get your money back fairly quickly.
Okay, so there is both the, the audio side and the print side. So what would you say is the breakdown of people that are purchasing one way or the other?
It all depends on the niche. So self-development, like self-discipline, habits, productivity, things that those type of people do, like, people who are into self-development, they're going to listen to audiobooks while they're driving, while they're working out. So if you publish books that are targeting that niche, you're going to have books that sell more on the audio side than on the print side. Um, Surprisingly, I have a lot of diet books that sell in audio format. I thought they would never sell, but they do every single month. So what I teach is, for me, it's a portfolio and it's very diversified, right? I even have fiction books now in romance. Um, so the business is to develop a large portfolio of books. So you're not relying on any one thing, right? But to answer maybe your question more specifically, the audiobook side of my business has been a business up until very recently where I've just on audio alone, I've done over $20,000 per month of profits just on audio. That's how profitable audiobooks can be compared to ebooks and print books.
Man, Alexander. So it's all in the portfolio is what I'm continuing to hear. So
Yeah.
is this something where when you create a digital asset like a book, are you building a web presence around it? Like, are you building a website around it? Or are you just saying, nope, I'm just going to put it out on the platforms and shoot ads to it, and that's where it will live?
Yeah. I mean, if you have people watching this video and they've tried any type of online business, if they tried it, they're going to see that the biggest problem is going to be traffic. Number one is going to be traffic is going to be huge, right? How do I get the traffic? I have a website. How do I get the traffic? I just said earlier, which is key, Amazon gets over 4.5 billion visitors per month. So how big is 4.5 billion? If you take a billion and you were to start counting right this second, nonstop, day and night, without sleeping, it would take you 30 years to count up to 1 billion. So I teach this. This is what I teach in the channel, is that we all we have to do is publish books that people are searching for, and we run ads to them. We don't need to create a website. We don't need an email list. We don't need to do anything else because the traffic is already there. We just have to make sure that it gets in front of people when they're searching for these type of books, so we get a shot at selling them. It's a fairly simple concept, but what you're going to struggle with, right? You're saying, well, how come not everybody's doing this? Because what most people are going to struggle with is that they're going to start to publish a book and they think that they're going to make six figures on one book. It could happen, right? But you know that always a small percentage of what you produce is what makes all of the income. So you have to continue to publish consistently, and a small percentage of your books are going to produce big time, and the overall portfolio is going to produce, but it's always going to be that 20%, 10% that are just going to be home runs. But you don't get to that point unless you publish book after book after book after book, just like anything else. Just like growing a YouTube channel, there's going to be certain videos that are just going to take off, while the other ones are just going to do whatever they're going to do, right?
Correct. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's the volume game is what I'm hearing. So
Yeah. Consistency. Yeah.
that's amazing. So are you treating this business as an LLC, or is this like income flow and profit? Is this going to you personally? How are you treating this?
I started this off as an LLC. This year I went into an S corp and I put myself on salary. I put my assistant on salary. So I've had a full-time assistant now for over a year. I'm basically hands off in terms of all the technical parts of publishing. I just concentrate on the intellectual properties. Okay, this is what we're producing. This is the books that I'm ordering. But the technical part of the physical work of uploading and doing all that stuff, it's now a company where we have salaries, and this is a business. I do have other publishing businesses that are LLCs, but my main one is this S corp.
Okay, so the S corp, and is your assistant a virtual assistant, like so many people have spoken to in the past, or is this someone you're physically working with?
No, She is working virtually, um, but she lives here in my state. I did meet her in person. I did not hire someone from a different country. A very, this was a topic that was on my mind. It was hard to figure out how to do this because you could find, I do hire people that throughout the world. Um, and you want to hire that cheap labor overseas. But my assistant is, she was a prior manager for Starbucks. I recruited her hard, and she is worth every single dollar that I pay her because she's smart, she knows the language, and she helps me move my business forward. So she's here in the U.S. She doesn't work with me physically here. She works out of her house, and that's an added benefit for her and for me.
Okay, so within the publishing industry and all that you've learned in the past couple of years, what are some mistakes or some lessons that you've learned that if you could impart on your younger self or the viewers, what would you say?
I would say a very common mistake that I've made, and I sometimes continue to make, and I see other guys like that have made as much money as I have do, is that once you start making X amount of money, whatever that is for you, you kind of stop publishing. And there's this very basic lesson in life is that you have to be consistent. And this doesn't change for publishing. So I would say consistency is the key to success, especially when you're new in the business, because you're not going to have the success that you want. And the success that you want is going to come through consistency. And for you, that might be one book per month. For others who have the budget, it might be 10 books per month. Whatever that is, you have to be consistent. And for me, I've made the mistake where, when I started to make a lot of money, I stopped publishing. Um, and I wish I wouldn't have, because there are times where your sales come down, but through the consistency of publishing, you're always going to ensure that you have this new sales, organic sales, because Amazon also promotes your books. Um, so just being consistent is the number one thing that I would recommend to anybody that's going to start in any type of business.
So consistency is a major key, it seems.
It is.
And
Yeah.
so, do you have any recommendations with the length of the books? If you're publishing at this sort of volume, is it more difficult to have longer books, or is there a sweet spot as far as word count?
Sure. That's a good question. I recommend that the minimum you should publish is 15,000 words. There are strategies, and there are strategies to publishing, let's say 30,000 word books. And I'll quickly tell you what that is. So for example, when you're selling audiobooks on the Audible platform, if you have a book that's over 10 hours, the book is going to sell for $24.95. So one of the strategies that I teach is bundling books together. So you put three books together. If you put three books together that are 30,000 words each, that's going to be 10 hours in audio form. So now you've taken books. That's just what I mean. These are strategies that you're squeezing new money out of the same books. So now you're taking three books that you already paid for, that they individually are already audiobooks, but now you're putting them together and you're making one new book. And now this one new book is going to sell for $24.95. So I would recommend, if you have the money, to do 30,000 word count books. But if you don't, if you're starting off, 15,000 word books are going to be a good starting point. Is going to be easy on the budget for you. And it's going to be a way for you to get your feel for the business. So 15,000 word is what I would recommend to start publishing nonfiction.
Okay. So for the publishing aspect, when you're going out there and getting these authors to write these books, is your name going on the cover, or is their name going on the cover? Uh, does that work out in the deal beforehand, or how does that work?
Good question. The So when you order your books, you're the publisher. You own the rights to the book. So you're going to have to assign a pen name. So you could make up the name, Joe Smith. So every book you're going to assign a name to, a pen name. because you own the rights. You're not going to say you wrote the book, and you're not going to say the ghostwriter wrote the book. You're the publisher. This is your baby. You're going to create a pen name for the book, an author name. Yeah.
So an author name isn't just something that they used to do hundreds of years ago. It's something that people are currently doing now to, I guess, is it more like sidestepping the liability issues, or why is it important to use a pen name?
Well, I mean, what are your options if you have a book written, let's say, on a topic that you have no knowledge of? You're gonna put your name on the book? I mean, that's being unethical. I mean, you're kind of lying if you were to put your name on a book you didn't write. I wouldn't feel comfortable about that. And you're not going to put the ghostwriter's name on the book because you own the rights to the book. You don't want him later on claiming royalties to your book, even though there's contracts that you sign. But essentially, if you have books written in a lot of different topics, you're not going to put your name on all these different books because you don't have any knowledge of those areas, right? You're hiring professionals to write these books for you. So that's why you have to assign pen names. And to be perfectly honest, there's tons of famous people who have, even famous writers who have ghostwriters write their books because they've already created the brand name, and they're buying the rights to the book. So they put their names on these books and nobody's ever going to know anyway. So this is something that's done every single day.
Man, peeling back the curtain on on other writers. Okay, I like that though, and that's good to know. So it's all about brand, and
Yeah.
so I'm assuming that in these initial books you're going to skip the about the author section. Is that true?
No, you could have that made up as well. Right?
Okay.
You could have that made up as well. I mean, why not?
True.
You're building an experience for the customer. What difference does it make if about the author? Okay, he likes doing this, he enjoys that. How is that going to affect you? It's just going to make the experience better for you if you buy into the whole presentation.
Yeah, that's true. I could see that.
I'm sorry, but that's the way it works.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is all new to me, and a lot of it is new to the audience too. So this is really interesting stuff. Man, so looking forward to the future, what do you see this business growing into, and what's kind of your goals moving forward?
Well, my business has been built mostly on nonfiction. I've dabbled in fiction romance unsuccessfully, I would say, because it's just so much more expensive and it's a whole different game. So this year, I've committed to going back to the fiction side and continuing to build that business because that is a brand business. In other words, now this is where you would have to create this author name and keep it and build a whole bunch of books around this experience, this author, this brand name. So going forward, I'm trying to build this fiction base, and it's also building this email list. I have over 10,000 email list for my fiction writer. It's a whole different business. I haven't dominated this yet, but this is my next step, is dominating fiction and adding this to my company as a real profitable part of it. I haven't been able to do that yet, to say, okay, I make, 2,000 in profit consistently from this side of the business. So that's my goal this year for 2021. I created this course on how to do this a couple of months ago, but I have a very big surprise coming in the next couple of days for people who have been watching the channel. And I'm getting ready to unleash a lot of material for free for people to do this business model that I've perfected for myself. So those are the two things. I'm working on my doctorate degree, so I'm making good money. There's not much in this space that I want to do. Other things perhaps, but not in publishing. Just those two things.
Okay, so breaking into fiction. So, with regards to the research and development of these titles and of the ghostwriters, are you coming to the table and giving something to the ghostwriters that outlines, okay, I want to talk about these topics, these are the points that I want to talk about, or are you just putting it in, how much are you putting in their plate to say, you do the research about this, or are you doing beforehand research?
I used to put in a lot of work. I used to provide an outline point by point, like chapter by chapter. I stopped doing that a long time ago. Now, once you start working long enough, you will establish relationships that, with companies you can trust or with writers you can trust. And you could simply just say, hey, I want a book on this topic. And they're always going to provide an outline for you. And once they come back with the outline, then you could look at it and say, okay, no, I don't want these chapters in here, or I want it to be more based on this. Or you can just simply go on Amazon and look at books and say, hey, I want a book similar to this. Like, I want this type of book. Obviously, you don't want them to copy the book, but you could just say, I want a book just like this. And that will help them create an outline for you. So it's not really difficult. It's not really, you don't have to put a ton of work, because you do have to publish a lot of books in order to get to the level where I am, because it's based on volume. It's not based on a single branded author. So if you were to take so much time creating outlines and putting all this effort into it, you probably give up.
Okay, so just being mindful of how you allocate your time. So, the same thing with the ghostwriters on the, say, fiction side. Are there, so you're not necessarily perusing for the right ghostwriter that might be excellent at fiction, but not necessarily good at like writing a diet book or something like that. Are you spending your time doing that, or is that something that is done for you?
No. A great question, because fiction is totally different. Fiction is day and night. So for fiction, I do have to spend a lot of time. I do have to talk to the writer. I do have to go back and forth with him and say, okay, this is the kind of plot that we want. Because check this out, Dan. In fiction, people actually read books. And I'm serious. And what happens is when you build your fiction brand, you're getting this repeat audience of coming back and going through books 1, series 2, series 3, series 4, and they're reading through all of your books. And the way you're actually making money through fiction on Amazon, you get paid through the pages people read. And Amazon has this program that it's called the Kindle Unlimited. So you pay like whatever it is, $14 per month, and you could read an unlimited amount of books. So Amazon pays you per page read. On the fiction side, you really have to develop a book that people are going to say, man, I can't wait for this next book to be written. And you're not going to come out with 10 books a month. You're going to come out maybe with 1 book every month, and you're going to have people following you. And it's like a snowball effect, new people coming on to you, and you're building this huge audience. It's a brand that you're building. So for fiction, yes, you do have to take your time. You do have to find the right author. You do have to find the right plot. You do have to find all of these things. It's totally different, and it's super expensive compared to nonfiction. And yeah, it's a totally different game.
Okay, so brand loyalty is more prevalent in fiction.
Correct.
That's good to know. So for someone starting out who is going to listen to this interview and be like, this is very interesting to me, I want to begin, where would you point them to start?
I would say, if you could go to my channel, you're going to see a lot of content on there that's going to show you where to find ghostwriters, how to find profitable topics, keywords, books that you want to have written. In my channel, you're going to find all of these things. You're going to want to start off with nonfiction. Of course, you're going to want to start off with a word count of 15,000 at most, so you don't spend that much money. You're going to want to start having your covers designed in Fiverr, which is, you could find a good cover designer for $10, $15. These are the areas that you're going to want to start. But in my channel, you're going to find all of these lessons, and in the next couple of days, you're going to see there's going to be a playlist on there that's going to cater for new people that are wanting to do this for free. I'm
Amazing.
excited about that, to give that back to people. Yeah.
Amazing, man. Give one more shout out to, where the audience should find you on YouTube and elsewhere.
All right. So I have my YouTube channel. If you type in ipublishghostwriters.com, remember, we're publishing ghostwriters' work. So my website also is ipublishghostwriters.com. If you type that in, or if you type that on Facebook, you can find me on Facebook, on my website, or on the YouTube channel. If you ask any questions, I usually reply within 24 hours. And I try to give as much value as I can, only because uh, I feel totally privileged to be able to make this type of income, to be able to go back to school, to be able to take the whole year of COVID off and still get checks for 15, 20, $25,000 for doing something that I started 4 years ago. Maybe like you are in now in a position where you're like, can this really work? So if you find me on there and if you have questions, you're going to see that I'm going to get back to you, and you're going to see that you're going to align yourself in a business like Amazon, that's the #1 seller in their country. This is a real business. So feel free to reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to help you.
Amazing, man. I can't thank you enough, and I just want to acknowledge you and your hard work that you've put in, and really giving back to the community by sharing this knowledge. Is there any final thoughts that you want to leave the audience with today?
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me on the show, for reaching out, and definitely I'm really stoked to make this connection with you. Um, just want to say that I'm grateful for the opportunity you've given me on here. And at the end of the day, I'm a nurse. I'm working on my doctorate degree in health systems, and some of the things that are valuable to me are providing proof, evidence, right? Like in medicine, we want to do things that have shown to work. So I'm going to show you a lot of evidence on my channel on the things that I do that actually work. I'm not a marketer. I'm just a guy who wanted to provide for his family and to live a better life. So I want to give that back. I want to empower people, even if it's just to make an extra $500, $1,000 per month. For some people, that is life-changing. So thank you once again for having me on this show. And I hope that the people that watch your channel, if they feel empowered to do something, that I made it my mission to give back as best I can when I can.
Thanks so much, Alexander, and thank you for coming out. And best of luck in the future, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.